But no, Beth York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory. Hello everybody and welcome back right here to the CVR World Cup Mixer page. As always, my name is Jesper Anker and we've got Zones K and Zone L up through streaming here today. And it's going to be exciting because we're shaking things up a tiny bit. Zone K is going to be the same. We've got the racers coming on here. They're going to be racing. They're going to be testing out the legs. They're getting ready for Season 2 of the CVRcade World Cup, which I believe was announced to start February 15th. So now there's a start date. It's going to be exciting to see as, you know, the preparations get ramped up, the teams get their ducks in order. It'll be fun to see how that all plays up. Then in the second hour in Zone L, we're going to have newly announced Team Hive, which consists of Ben Shuilong, Jennifer Garcia, and Timothy Tamont. And for tonight, I believe they've subbed in Kayla Laguna as their reserve. They will be going up against Velocity Vixen. This is in the second hour. That is Beth York, it is Nigel Doyle, Carl Axel Sander, and Vibeke Bertram. It's going to be great racing. We've got 2 Omniums here, 8 races in total, and streaming in from around the world. Let's see him here. We've got Frank Garcia, who is on the bike and ready to go. We saw him and Jennifer do well last week. We also have Casey Shum, who is in here ready to do more racing as he's, you know, getting ready for Season 2. He was one of the big names in Season 1. We've got Tim Fulford as well, who is all jacketed up. He's cold, getting ready to warm up. We've got a surprise racer today on a keyboard. Quentin Molyneux sitting down. He's taken over the roles of Timothy Tamont as the designated non-physical player. It'll be fun to see the physical effort required to press the plus button today. We all know that can be a tedious task. We've got Rick Woods as well, all the way from the US on the stream today. We've seen him race more and more. He's also in here with his wife, I believe, Tammy Wood. Sebastian Kuhn is in here from Team Cognition, representing the blue shirts. We've seen them do so well, especially on Saturday when they had pretty much every single rider on the start line. And then last but not least, making her return into the broadcast, Alison Kubota. It's been a while since we've had Alison Kubota on the stream, but it's good to see her back on. She's rocking the Canyon SRAM skin suit today, but a skin suit nonetheless, so we'll let that one pass, Alison. But let's go on here from Quentin, because writing on a keyboard, Quentin, we've seen you do this last week. What's that experience like?
It's much more fun, much less wet, not very much pain unless your wrist just gives in. And it really works out because I have a rest week planned for this week, and I think quite a few people will be looking towards a rest week as well with the league coming up, so it's going to be fun.
Now, what's the ethics of a non-physical rider getting involved? Because it's been getting pretty spicy lately. Where do you draw the line of your involvement?
Well, I draw the line that I work for other people, but I'm not out to block other people. It's already quite a sensitive subject if you block someone when you're riding physically. But I feel like when you're on a keyboard, that should just not be the case at all. So yeah, I know that Tim was a little bit hesitant about Nigel at one point, working to close the gap. But that wasn't the heat of the moment, and I feel like we've went past that moment, and it's acceptable to work.
Well, we've gone past that moment in time. Quinton, I'm excited to see how it pans out with you on a keyboard today, helping out your teammates. 8 seconds to go. I'll let you get refocused up here because this start on the keyboard, good luck making the front group. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is the first race of the day. It is our low skill event right here on Aquavelo. We've got 8 laps coming up now. These are races from across the world. You got the UK, the US, Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, all these racers getting together here racing their own bikes in their own home or wherever they've got their setup set up, and then they race in online. Now, we got an omnium here, so if you bring down the scoreboard for a second as they're just getting set up and the blob is being created over across the hour, they're gonna race 4 races. Event 1, event 2, 3, and 4. Every event has a designated scoring multiplier, and the tougher the race is, the more technical the race is, the higher the multiplier is. And so you take the base score for every race, where the winner gets 30 points, and that's 26, 23, 21, I think, so on down. You times that by the scoring multiplier, and you get your overall score. So you have individual stage winners, but you also have the overall stage winner of the day. Some, they target the individual stages. Some, they would rather get the overall victory. It's to each their own here. So we've got Rick Woods here racing out on course. You can see he's even got his name on the jersey. So when you think about wearing matching kit in the game in real life, do you get matching kit for wearing a jersey with your name on it? I mean, that should be like bonus points for the next CVRcade World Cup season. But 1.2 kilometers remaining. We've got Peter Kastrup in the racing here as well, but he's 7 seconds down. Peter has opted not to be in the stream today. 7 seconds down. Usually he's a favorite in this, but he is not in this race. But if we go back to the front here and we make up with it, you've got the blob. 57, 58 kilometers an hour. You're feeling this in the legs if you're on a smart trainer. Suddenly you're thinking about your gears. Are you in the right gear? Is you starting to jump? And then you've got a sprint. You've got Tim on the right. You've got Frank on the left here as we're getting ready for the sprint here out on course. Everybody is around. It fluctuates. If you feel confident, if you feel comfortable in your ability to race this sort of race, you can sit at 149, 140, such as Frank is doing. We see that Casey is there. We see Allison is there. But if you get a bit nervous, it gets difficult. Your heart rate gets raised. Rick is at 190. Ed Laverick at 201. Homer at 177. But here we go. 300 meters remain. The sprint is coming up. We've got Frank on the front. We've got Tim down in 9th position here. It's been a while since Tim has won one of these. 200 meters. Here we go. Frank stands up. 1100 equalized watts. Tim tries to come on through, but there goes nothing. It is Frank Garcia ahead of Rick Woods. I think Allison may have crossed the line before Sebastian, but we'll see as the results finalize. But Frank Garcia taking up the early initiative and goes on to win the first race of the day. So as we bring up the instant replay of that one, we'll see it one more time. So last lap coming into it here. You can see on the right hand side here, the screen next to Tim, that's all the telemetry. It's their positions out on track in real time. It's their equalized heart rate. It's their speed. It's their equalized power as they're producing it. Then on the left hand side, you can see the results updating in real time. So here goes. Frank stands up. He goes relatively high early, 1300 equalized watts, and nobody is there. It seemed like everyone was waiting and waiting and waiting, and the moment they choose to go, Frank's the one that goes over the top and takes the victory. We did see Rick hit 1500 equalized watts, but too little, just wasn't there in the end. Frank, congratulations on taking the first victory there. Were you surprised that no one was able to follow you?
I did think they would probably come around, but I knew I had the timing about right, and I got the jump. I thought I got into the wind too soon, and the blob would catch me, but I just maintained my sprint because I couldn't see anybody right on my wheel, and just hope for the best. And I think that was just a matter of pure, perfect timing, and the other people reacting just a tad late.
Now, I know there were talks about you possibly racing Zone L later as part of the Team Hive, but you're choosing to race this one. Is that giving you a bit extra motivation to perform here in K?
Yeah, I got kicked off of the alternate spot. I think they wanted Kayla instead of me, so I had a little extra motivation to do well today. And I was looking forward to doing really well in this zone. I came out and it's like, Tim, Casey, Sebastian, and I didn't realize Quentin was on the keyboard at first, but I was like, wow, this is going to be a tough zone. So it'll be a fun race today.
Well, let's go and chat to Casey, because Casey did finish third in the last race. Casey, what do you make of those low-skill events? Is that something you enjoy racing?
Honestly, not really, just because the end is just so, it's almost RNG. Like, yes, you have to do the effort and you time your effort the best you can to maximize your ability to do well. But in the end, it comes down to just kind of the timing and the randomness of it. So I like them for warm-ups. They're good to kind of get the blood flowing in that. So, I'm glad they're not worth a significant amount of points, though. It's not it's not the type of racing. You can make mistakes in it and screw up. There's not a lot you can do to really secure yourself a high probability for a win.
Now, coming up to the next race, Uncrashable is an ability. You've got greater responsibility. You've got quite a lot of tools to play with in this one. Is there a specific strategy you're thinking of for this next race?
Not really. It looks like it's going to be a longer race. I don't really know the course. I was just asking my team what the corner speeds were, and they had to remind me it was uncrashable. So, I got a good chuckle out of that. Yeah, I haven't prepped for anything here, so we're just going to go give it hell. Feeling good. So, let's see what we got.
I think we've all been there, Casey, but I think the majority of us have been on the other side when we're like, oh, it's uncrashable, and then we're like, it was not uncrashable. So we've all been there. Good luck here in New York City, Cityscape. Casey Sean, we've got Sebastian Kuhn as well, who came across the line in fourth. Sep, this is one of the tracks we've seen you do well on before. What do you make of Cityscape New York?
Yeah, I like the course. It's a long course, 3 laps is a longer race, and with Uncrashable it's not so risky when there are so many riders on the course, so I'm looking forward to it.
Team Cycling Hub have got Quentin Molinez on a keyboard. Is that something you're worried of?
No, I don't worry about people way behind me, so maybe when I lap him I have to pay attention, but
when you do it,
just kidding.
Please do a wave and a bunny jump, because that is just too great, Sebastian. Always one for a good laugh. Well, thank you, Seb. We got a minute 30 until the racing begins here. Allison was 5th, Tim was 6th, Quinton on a keyboard still managed to beat Jeff Rooney, Thomas Tibbling, Ed Laverick, Kinjaldis Say, Homer Thompson, Peter Castrop, and Tammy Woods. And also, let's not forget Nigel Doyle, who's getting ready to race the next one. So if you're just tuning in, do remind you that this is Zone K. Zone K and Zone L today will be different. Zone K, all up racing, everybody's in here. They're just racing it out. They're having some grudge matches, they're having some good exercise. But then Zone L will be a test environment for the upcoming CVRcade World Cup Season 2. We're going to have 2 teams going up against each other. Only those 2 teams on the course will be racing. Now, there will be a separate Zone L event as well, which won't be streamed, but the racers can race that one if they want their back-to-back zones. But that's happening at the top of the next hour. So here we go. 1 race down, 3 races remain in the Omnium. You can see the scores over to my right. Frank's leading, Riggs in 2nd place. I mean, having Rig Woods on the broadcast today is going to add another dimension we haven't seen before, because Rig Woods has this level of suffering that is only really rivaled by Moti Bikelny, by myself possibly, when you look at their suffer faces, because the few times we've had Rick on the broadcast, this guy just digs in deep, and with him being in 2nd place, he's got his wife out on course with him. I think we're going to see a stellar performance here from Rick Woods up in the next race. But it's all about the initial start. It's all about making that first group of selection, first group of riders that break away, because there's no wind. And there's Uncrashable as an ability, so you don't have to worry about falling down. You've got 2 Racer's Edges and 1 Greater Responsibility. We've got Ed Laverick in here as well. He's on the front. He's being joined by Sebastian Kuhn. Actually, Ed Laverick is just sending it here on the front. look at what Ed Laverick is doing as we cut up to Ed right now. This is a man who, prior to racing, texted or went on Instagram and said, it's going to be a fun night of CVRcade. Made an Instagram story, and he's not holding any hostages. He's come out here, I just got hot guns, went pew, 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 and he's ready to just to demolish the competition. But what will the rest do? Because Ed Laverick is a Cycling Hub friend. He's a friend of the show for Team Cycling Hub. Will Casey Shum try and bridge him down, try and bring up to him here, or will they wait? Now, I do see Ed Laverick's. If we have a look, we can actually investigate Ed's status and his license. If we look on the right side, we do see, I believe that's a CVRcade cadet symbol you see on his shoulder, which means that now he's gone out quick. But because you are a CVRcade cadet, when you first get on the platform, it's going to bring you back a tiny bit because the game needs to have confidence in you, and as it builds confidence, you'll progress through the licenses. You'll go from cadet up to competitor, up to master, up to pro, and now that Ed has been caught again, now he's gonna have to push again and push again and push again, and when he upgrades his license, which is like the most satisfying thing, he's gonna be able to do that again and again on the front. Now, Quentin on a keyboard today, him and Allison are on the front. Now, Allison may as well be on a keyboard sometimes because it feels like all she does is press plus with her pedals. So we got Quentin racing while he's on a phone, so he's happy. He's at 366. He's got the team chat open. He doesn't really have to do a whole lot currently. He does have the possibility of getting rid of Sebastian here. Quentin literally getting in coffee. Now, Quentin, you did hear what Sebastian think. Is there not a sliver of you that wants to just pull on the brakes?
It's tempting, but I'm not gonna do it.
Why not?
He can rest on both ears. No, it would just be cruel to do that.
Well, Quentin being the better man, everybody now. Team Cycling Hub changing over a new leaf as Quentin is putting the best foot forward here. Sebastian in second place behind Quentin further down in this group. So far, a sedated start from the pack, except for Ed Laverick, who attacked up the road. He's been caught. He's now through the back here. He's going to have to come on through up to the group. You've got Tim. You've got Frank on the screen again. The jacket has come off for Tim Fulford here. He's currently at 168 equalized heart rate. Now, he moves to the left. It looks like Cycling Hub may be trying something here. Casey, Tim, Quentin all move across the road here, and there they go. Acceleration from Tim, greater responsibility from Casey as well. They pop their power-ups as they go. Now we look at the front of the group. Can they follow? Frank with greater responsibility as well. So that is the one power-up you do get in this race. It gives you about, I think it's 1500 equalized watts more for like 5 seconds. Since you have Uncrashable, you will not fall down. So Tim, Casey, they've got a gap. We go down. Where is Frank Garcia right now out on track? He is right behind him. So Tim, Casey, and Frank have made the initial move. Reg Woods as well with a greater responsibility and Racer's Edge. He wants to go across. 7 seconds is the gap here. He's at 81 kilometers an hour. He is at twice the speed. Ladies and gentlemen, we've hit terminal velocity. We're going back to the future. Reg Woods, 60 kilometers an hour. He's coming right by Allison, who's also there. Frank, Tim, and Casey. So now you start to wonder about the chasing group. What's the strategy for Sebastian, for Homer? Because they didn't use their power-ups. Sebastian has the possibility here to use greater responsibility to go across, but he's choosing to stay with Homer. So Cognition saving their power-ups, it could be a good play for later, because what we saw with Rick was that he was at 80 kilometers an hour. That is unheard of. And if Sebastian can save that little wattage bazooka, that, missile at the end, he can come around the front group, but you're going to have to stay within touch. The gap is 15 seconds as we go back to the front. So all 5 racers in this front group are streaming in right here to the broadcast on Mixer. We'll see what's going to happen. I do see we've got some familiar faces in the chat. We've got DK Mansuni. DK, when is the last time you've missed a stream? I always see you in here. Thank you so much for being, the honors guest. Tim is in the chat. We've got Timothy. We've got Crucial Bowl. Everybody is making the rounds. I also saw Tay Fearless earlier. I think she's getting ready for her Omnium later on. So that now takes out a lot of the power-ups. I mean, greater responsibility is gone, one Razor's Edge is gone. That leaves one Razor's Edge for many of these until the end. And Cycling Up have got the numbers. They've got Tim on the front, they've got Casey in position 4, while Frank and Rick teammates in this one, and I think Allison will just sit in and try to do the least amount of work as possible in this group. So this is going to be a bit of a chess match now, because I think everyone is anticipating Cycling Hub to go again, and as we look from above here, nobody wanting to give a draft. Tim is bumping in a tiny bit. We saw Allison bump a tiny bit. Now they move over. Rick bumps into Allison. So that was Casey who bumped in. Now Sebastian goes. Sebastian, greater responsibility, Razor's Edge. It's a bit late, but it may not be too late. 7 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds. The gap's coming down. He is pushing hard, but he's at 194. Now, 200 is the max equalized heart rate you can get to in the game, unless you're pushing your boundaries. It looks like Sebastian, with his power-ups, is gonna make it back on. But this is the situation where you've fought so hard to get back. You've burnt matches. This group is not going to let you back on. Casey saw that move, and he's going to want to keep the group tight. He'll want to keep the group moving along, him and Allison taking turns in the front. But now that Allison has seen this, you may assume that Allison is going to try and slow down this group, because Sebastian Kuhn has just spent a lot of energy to get back, and so has Jeff Rooney. So maybe Allison slows it down, but it doesn't look to be the case for Allison. She sits at 360, 370. This is very, very fascinating, because Casey, he's not going to accelerate. Casey's at 200 equalized watts here. He's opening up a gap. He's just letting Allison go up the road. He's saying somebody else needs to come on through, and no one is doing so. But Sebastian Kuhn, we might have a coup here from Team Cognition if they can get away. But then Tim says, nah, you're not going to get away. But now Sebastian is doing a bit of blocking on Tim. Allison is just riding away into the sunset, minding her own business. And now Tim Fulford is forced to make a reaction here as we're seeing Tim Fulford closing it down on Allison. But I like what Allison is doing. I like what Cognition is doing. They're taking the initiative and they're trying to force other people. Hey, I see we've got Wim in the chat as well. Wim, nice to see you back in here, my friend. When are we going to see you back out racing? I've seen you out here a few times. I would love to see you in the broadcast, Wim. So if you want to get on, if you want to be like Tim, like Allison in the broadcast, let me know. We'll get you in here. We'll get you front page on Mixer. So we get ready here, because we're halfway through the racing. It's 3 laps. The scoring multiplier is a 2. And everybody's still here. Now, Quinton is trying to get back. And I think Quinton, on his keyboard, is going to get back to this front group. And that's going to change the outcome. So, Quinton, non-physical, on a keyboard today. As you can see, the contrast between Allison, Tim, and Quinton. But Quinton used 1 power-up. Then he's used both his Razor's Edges here, and as he gets back to the group, this changes the dynamic. Now Casey and Tim, they've got to figure out what they do. 4 kilometers remain. Here comes Quinton Molinez on a keyboard. Massive, you know, factor coming in here now. He's just going to go over the top. He's using that bit of fatigue left on the controller to go over the top here, and I'm not sure if anyone's going to worry about him, because non-physical, he's currently leading, actually. If we bring down the scoreboard, Quinton Molinez from 9th place right on through, uses his power-ups, and Quinton Molinez of Team Cycling Hub, he may be non-physical, but he still counts in the results, as we saw some great finishes. Now, I see we've just been joined by Channel 1. Channel 1, you could not have joined at a better time. I feel like I say that every time you come, and that's because it's true. We've got 1 lap to go here, and we've got riders from across the world. We've got Casey Shum from the US. We've got Tim Fulford here from the UK. These riders are riding their own bikes in a virtual environment. So their own bikes are connected to these things called turbo trainers that send the signals into the game. They then race across 4 races in an hour, and then in every single race, they gather up points. They score points across the races, and that then gets distributed in what's called the Omnium. Whoever scores the most amount of points is called the winner of the zone. But it's not just people on a bike. You see Frank Garcia right now. He looks like he is relatively tired as we've ridden 7 kilometers of racing. But let's go to Quinton Molinese, because Quinton won Season 1 of the CVRcade World Cup. He's racked almost $6,000 up in prize purses just from the Season 1 of the CVRcade World Cup. He's on his rest week. He has ridden his bike. He has been training hard. He's been outside. He's been inside. He's been all across the tracks of CVRcade. I think I saw he did like an hour on Dark Matter Spire for fun the other day. So he's been practicing his corner speeds, and today he's on a keyboard. He's sitting down. He is pressing plus and minus on the keyboard. He's making the decisions. But he's got teammates. Casey Shum, Tim Fulford, and Quinton Molinese. They all race under the same colors. You see the blue and orange Cycling Hub jersey. They're all chatting, and you can see Quinton on the left. It's kind of like the military, walking up and down the pace line, shouting out, you know, directions, strategies, comms to make sure that it all pans out nicely. So, Channel 1, they've used their power-ups, they've used their supers, as you may know it from Mario Kart, etc. They've used their greater responsibilities, they've used their racer's edges, and we've now got 2 kilometers to go. If you look top right-hand corner, you will see the kilometers remaining. It says 2.1, it's about to say 2. This race has great importance towards who is going to win the Omnium here today, because this Zone K, it's 1 hour long. We're in the second race of 4, and we're going to see what's going to happen here. As Frank Garcia with a racer's edge, he still has 1 power-up left. He dodges the block. There was an attempted block there at the back as Frank Garcia passes Monument Hall, and he's going right on through. He doesn't want to wait for a sprint. He's on to the attacks. You see Frank Garcia, 181. Sebastian Kuhn, 191. Tim, Casey, Allison, they're all using their last bit of racer's edge here to come over the top. This is going to be a slugfest to the finish now. Each one of them are just going to have to power on through. Casey Shum comes to the front here as well now, as we see the side-by-side shot of the racers. Oh, Frank looks like he's getting rather tired now after that attack, so Casey comes over the top. And this is where having numbers really makes up the difference. Tim has just attacked, then Casey comes over the top, and Frank is without Rick Woods currently. 1.2 kilometers remain here. As I see, we've got SAS420 Gaming in the chat. As always, Channel 1, if you're enjoying this, there's 1 kilometer to go. Make sure to click our little logo in the bottom left-hand corner, because that way you will stick around. 1 kilometer to go here. Sebastian Kuhn has got nothing left. He attacked so late, and with 900 meters to go, it'll be a miracle if he comes on back. But going back up to the front here, you'll see Tim, you'll see Frank. It is a repeat of the first race on Aqua Velo. Tim is just getting in the zone now. He is fighting away. Meanwhile, Frank has got music blasting. He's rocking the whole body. It's mind over matter at this point, but when you look over Frank's shoulder, he's got a bypassenger. He's got Casey Shum waiting just around the corner. If Frank goes for it here, Casey Shum is just going to go right over the top. And here it is. Frank goes to the left. He initiates his attack. 800 equalized watts. Casey tries. We go back to Frank here as Tim is in the aero position. 192 from both Frank Garcia and Tim Fulford here. 300 meters left. 200 meters left. Casey is coming back. And now Frank turns his eyes backwards. For him, it's damage limitation. Can he keep Casey Shum off his wheel? Tim Fulford will win New York City. He will win this race. He will take 60 points. And Frank Garcia keeps Casey Shum away on the line and takes second most amount of points. Rick Woods will come across the line in 4th. Then that's a close 4th, by the way. As you can see, Rick is tired. Sebastian across ahead of Allison. They really gave that one everything. And then you've got Ed, you've got Homer, you've got Kinjol and Peter Kastrup, so on. So, Channel 1, that was the second race of the day. Second race here in Zone K. We've got 2 more races in Zone K. We've got Mountain Bike by Jesper before, you know, we make our best SpaceX exploration into space and we go to Saturn. And then once that's done, we've got some exciting things happening in Zone L. As I say, we've got the chat. Shut Up Johnny was asking about how to get this on Xbox. Well, all you got to do is head to the website, Johnny, and register for the closed beta on Xbox. And then I'm sure that the next batch of invites, you might see one in your email. So that was an incredibly close race all the way throughout. We saw a stacked peloton all the way throughout. But it was the numbers advantage that really played out for Team Cycling Hub. They had Quentin, they had Casey, they had Tim, and they could just play them out as they wanted to. Even if Frank got back, it looked like Casey Shum would come around. But Tim, congratulations on the victory on New York. That greater responsibility, power up throughout all your teammates. What made you decide that was the moment to do it?
These gaps between races are too long.
Oh, can you hear me, Tim? Tim? Oh, I think Tim has lost the audio control here, as we heard he was mentioning the time between the races maybe being too long out here. We'll get a take from Frank Garcia, who I think turned himself inside out in the previous race. Frank, do you concur with that message from Tim?
No, I'd like the next race to be tomorrow. But I do think that Cycling Hub made a tactical error there.
How
They
so?
should have been working for Casey to get across them and leave the Omnium right now. But you know, that team's full of ego, so they're probably not that great at teamwork in the end. We'll see. Now Tim's in second place, and we just got to try and hold him off. It's going to be really hard. He's super strong.
You were in that group, Frank, and you're sitting there with Quentin, with Casey, with Tim. I mean, what were you thinking as you're realizing, okay, I've got to go now, and it's about 2 kilometers to go?
I think people often wait till too late to make a move. The longer moves hurt a lot more. Maybe that's why. Maybe they're smarter from that perspective. But I think we caught most people out on that move, and you know, that's what I'm after. You know, instead of sprinting 10 people, let's sprint, you know, 1 or 2. Much better odds.
Let's go and hear from Casey, because you heard Frank Garcia call it a tactical error from Team Cycling Hub, a team full of egos, according to Frank Garcia. Casey, what do you make of those comments?
These are just for fun races, right? This is testing, so you learn something from everyone. So we learned a lot there. It was a good race. Some good, you know, coordinated efforts. And yeah, I'm happy with that.
Now, at the end there, the sprint versus Frank, it looked like you may have enough, but did you sit up and save some for the next 2 races?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't worth me going all in there to get second place. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it was hard, but it wasn't worth enough for me today to make that kick. So save something for the next couple of rounds and have some fun.
Sounds like a good strategy. Let's go and hear from Sebastian Kuhn, because Seb, you were trailing. I mean, you were fighting the good fight. You're waiting on the great responsibility. But why did you wait on it?
I just missed it, and it was a mistake, but never mind.
Oh man, that looked like it could have cost you. But now we head into your terrain. You know, mountain biking, mountain bike by Jesper. All those hours outside, are they translating to indoor mountain biking on CVRcade?
I don't think so. This is just a too short effort. I like more the long climbs, steady climbs.
Sounds like we need to get you into the track builder and build one of those long mountain bike marathon courses for CVRcade. Or we can call it Seb's Monster Derby mountain bike track. But Seb, I'll let you rest up. We've got 1:20 remaining here before the race begins. I see we've got Dread Puppet yelling in the chat. Can you hear me? Dread Puppet, yes, I think I can hear something out of the edge of my ear. Yes, I think it's food is ready. But that was really fun. New York City is good. So as you can see here on my right, this is the scoreboard again. This is the racing. All the points they get multiplied with the scoring multiplier associated with the event. And now we're into the next event, which is the highest scoring multiplier of the day. Mountain bike by Jesper. It's 6 laps, 1 power plant, 1 inertia, 1 wind at your back. This is going to be a technical event, it's going to be a tough event, and whoever's recovered the best, whoever has, kept the legs going for this one, saved some because the last race was rough, we'll see how it pans out. So physical equalization, which is a word you saw thrown around in the chat, and you might be wondering, what is that? Well, physical equalization enables all these riders to compete with each other across different, countries, ages, fitness levels. Even if you're on a keyboard, it makes it so that you can ride and compete with the rest in here. That's what makes this so compelling, because there are so many riders here that have so many stories to tell, and so many people are thinking, you know what, I'm past it in life. They're thinking, oh, the glory days of, riding my bike competitively or playing football or competing at a high level. Well, it doesn't have to be, and that's kind of what physical equalization champions here, that anyone, regardless of where you are in life, regardless of your situation, have a fair shot. You have a level playing ground of getting to race for the big stage. So as you see, Allison here at the back. Now, Frank did mention the Omnium scoring. He is the leader. He was the leader coming into this race by a few points, and it's close between him, Tim, and Casey at the top, as you would imagine here after 2 races. So we've got 2 races left here, Mountain Bike by Jesper and Saturn. As we can see, Dread Puppet is asking, what console is this? Well, you can either get it on PC, which the majority of these people are playing on, or you can get it on Xbox. If you want to be on Xbox or PC, just head to CVRcade.com. That is CVRcade.com. So I know Channel 1 always moves on at some point. All good things don't always last. But if you want to stick around Channel 1, and if you are interested in what you're seeing, and you want to see the development of Frank versus Tim versus Casey, and you're wondering, this story is getting pretty spicy as it sometimes get here, you make sure, just down below to the left here, there is a logo saying CVR World Cup. If you click it, you will get off the Channel 1 train and you will stop at this destination. Don't worry, in another hour or 2, you can get back on the train, you can continue your day, and you can watch Fortnite. We won't check your tech inspections here. We'll let you get on free of charge, of course, as Sebastian moves up on the right-hand side. So you've got Team Cycling Hub trying to set up a bit of a roadblock for Frank Garcia and let Tim go up the road. So how is Frank going to deal with this? Because Frank and Tim head-to-head right now on the scoreboard in terms of first, second, and third. You've got Sebastian, you've got Rick, and you've got Allison as outsiders. It really depends on how this race pans out. Chat, I want you to get involved in this as well. It's not just me. I can hear Dread Puppet. I can still hear the casserole. I want you to let me know in the chat right now, who do you think is going to win this race? We saw Tim, you saw Casey, you saw Sebastian, Frank, Allison, Rick, Quentin. Let us know right now in the chat as Frank Garcia goes on through here, moves to the group, and goes on to the attack. As I see Pink Sauce has subscribed for 7 months. Pink Sauce, you're awesome, thank you. But Sebastian has popped an inertia in the front. Tim is there. Rick has also popped an inertia as Rick Woods crashes down. So Sebastian with inertia at 43. Relatively low here out on track. You see Wim saying Ed Laverick is going to win this one. I think Sebastian may have pressed the wrong button, which is what used the inertia at 43. Now, Wim says Ed Laverick. We'll see. It is, of course, a Cade cadet, so he might struggle to win this race, but he'll definitely get equalized, and he should race more on the platform. So, as you can see, Channel 1 is moving on. If you want to see more physical esports, if you want to stick around and watch the future in making live right here, down to the left here, click our little CVR World Cup logo, and you will stay around. And I see 62 of you chose to do so. Well, you know what, 62? That's my new favorite number, and that's because of you. So, Here we go, 2.6 kilometers to go, half the racing remaining. Tim's on the front here. Frank's down in 5th and 6th, fighting with Allison for secondary positions. 7 seconds, 8 seconds is the gap. Tim Fulford here, dodging Robert on the right. He is riding away. Now, we do have more racing coming up after this as Frank goes down. He pops the inertia, and the second he does so, I think I even saw a small... Oh, and he crashes again! He goes right back up to speed and is right into the rocks again. Bring that one up on the instant replay because... Oh, that's a lot to dissect there for Frank Garcia. So... he tries to attack, he ramps it up, he uses inertia at the bottom of this incline to keep the maximum amount of speed into this. As he crosses the top, he's going to slide to the right and he's trying to go to the left, which means he crashes. But when he gets back up again, he gets the inertia effect still, goes right back up to speed, but as he does so, he slides all the way to the outside and right back into the rock. So for the overall Omnium, that's most likely Frank Garcia out of contention. He is 40 points down on Tim and 10 points down on Casey. He could still play a role on the podium, but it looks like Tim Fulford is coming out to play on this one. But Sebastian Kuhn, not too far back. Now, Tim using his inertia at 48, that is not a luxury that Sebastian Kuhn has anymore out on the track. He's a bit further down here at 192 equalized heart rate. Now, the chat did say, or did give a lot of love for Tim, especially Dread Puppet. So said Tim was going to win. Crucial Ball thought Rick Woods or Ed Laverick, so we'll see who's going to win this one. Casey Shum now with his inertia too, as they have to dodge Nigel out on track. They've got one more race remaining. And now Casey Shum with Tim Fulford 7 seconds up the road has been unleashed. His teammate duties are now obsolete and he can just think of his own race to make sure he gets the best possible position. Now Thomas Tippling, man, CCC is back. Oh, Sebastian there sharing a bit of the camaraderie love that has been. They used to be together on CCC as teammates. Now they left. Thomas is moving around. So the Swedish Viking is in the game. I think he might be a Cade cadet looking at his icon on his shoulder. So he's getting accustomed to being back in again. But it's good to see returning faces as Sebastian is slamming the door on Thomas. He's like, you're not coming through here. You're not allowed to cross the border. But Sebastian goes right back on the top of this. So Tim's leading as now Quinton is going to take more points. Quinton Molinez on a keyboard here with inertia. He's got the gum. He's got the composure. The equalized heart rate is, let's assume, around 100 right now as the adrenaline is starting to kick in here as he gets excited. He looks down, but all of this on the front, Cycling Hub will take a 1-2. Unless a crash on Kastrup Corner, we'll see the third event of the day here going to Tim. Wim says, isn't CCC orange, or is it not the World Tour team? CCC, I think, stands for Chaos. I think it stood for Chaos, or a chaotically assembled team. No, that's not the letters, but it was something along the lines of that. Chaosly composed something club. And they stuck around and they have a yellow shirt. Tim wins event 3. Casey gets 3rd. Quinton gets 3rd. Thomas Tippling 4th. Sebastian Kuhn in 5th. He did not succeed in keeping Thomas Tippling behind him. Alison Kubota in 6th. You've got Rick Woods as well crossing the line in 7th. And then Frank Garcia has fallen all the way down to 11th here. As I see Carl Axel Sander is getting ready for the next race. So we did just see Carl Axel Sander getting ready for the next race. Next zone, which starts in 20 minutes. So following the conclusion to the next race, which is Saturn, 4 laps long, this zone will conclude. But that doesn't mean the stream is going to end. We have another 1 hour of racing coming up where you'll see head-to-head racing. So more racing coming up, but first, instant replay. So not much to say at the end of this with Tim Fulford utilizing his power-up. Sebastian, I think it was maybe a mistiming on the inertia at 44 there, really handicapping his possibility or his likelihood of following the move by Tim. And then for Tim and Casey, it was a matter of just riding it home, making sure not to make a mistake here towards the end. And on the highest scoring multiplier of this Omnium, they would take first and second, which now puts them at the top of the scoreboard. Tim at 152, Casey at 134. Then you got Frank in third, Rick in fourth, Sebastian in fifth. So it requires a massive mistake from Tim to fall off the podium here, but anything is somewhat possible between the top three coming into Saturn. But Tim, as we see you cross the line, congratulations. Did that race pan out how you thought it would?
No, not really. In those situations when you've got one of every power-up, it's really important to keep an eye on the nearby riders list and also the people in front of you. And I saw Seb use his inertia at 43 going up the hill, and I'm like, I can do 43 up the hill if I push. And then the real tough one was the wind at your back. But if I can hold on there, then I'm 2 power-ups to the good. And in holding on there, using the draft, it's dragged me away from everyone else. So it's effectively card counting. And then I found myself off the front with a teammate behind me. So slightly more sedate end to it, which was quite nice. But it's always a tough course. Luckily, there was no wind on it, but good racing. Heart rate got up there, power was there. So yeah, happy with it.
Now, I don't know if you heard Frank's comment from the last race, but he was talking about some poor strategy from Cycling Hub, not letting Casey win on Cityscape. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that. Sorry, I had you muted last time round. Frank could say what he likes. I mean, I nearly lapped him there. We all know Frank's got 1 good race in him. Maybe 2 if he's had enough of a race refs here. So be interested in how he deals with Saturn. But no, you've got to. It might be bad strategy on the outside, but I was feeling pressure in the last 2 kilometers of the race. And if I went, then Casey didn't have to come with me and can sit on Frank. We wanted to narrow the numbers down so that, as Frank I think said when I unmuted you, that it's better to sprint against 1 person than it is against 9. So he got third. It was only a 2 multiplier. He's come second in that race, and he's 17 points clear of Frank. So first and second so far. This was fun on E earlier when I rode it earlier. So good power ups, good little bit of wind from a different direction this time. So should make for a good race.
Well, 2 minutes left, Tim. I'll let you get ready for this one and get back into team chat. Now, Frank, your little double crash disaster there was quite fun for the stream, but it looked quite frustrating.
Well, first, everybody should know that when you have to explain your tactics as long as Tim did, they were obviously a bit off. So we can have a little bit of fun with that. I'm sure we'll have some back and forth in social media. That would be fun. So a couple of things in that race which were really interesting. Casey threw an absolutely brilliant block on me. So much for Cycling Hub saying they're on the positive side of racing. When the chips are down and they're scared, looks like they go ahead and fall back to the negative tactics. But absolutely brilliantly played. I just think they should embrace those and say they're going to do them and continue to do well. So brilliant block there. And I knew I had to make up some time, so I was highly motivated, and I did a really hard sprint before my inertia, and I didn't realize how hard that sprint was, and I hit my inertia, looked up, I was at 54, and I was like, oh, I'm done. That corner is a 50 kph corner. There's nothing you can do when inertia's on. You can't brake, you can't do anything, so it was just sit back and relax the rest of the race. So a brilliant block by Casey and Team Cycling Hub, and then complete brain flop and or insert your favorite word there on what I did on that inertia.
Well, 1 minute to go. We'll let everybody rest up now. I did see the chat calling to talk to some of the familiar faces in here, the new faces. Now, I would love to go talk to Rick Woods. I would love to go and talk to Alison Kubota, who are in this broadcast as well. But unfortunately, not every streamer has audio capability. That's why in Season 1 of the World Cup, you would literally gain bonus points for being able to talk to the stream. So I love Rick. I think he's hilarious. I think Rick is awesome. I'd love to go chat with him, but it's not going to be the case. Now, I don't know who went the longest in the explanation in those interviews, whether that was Tim or it was Frank. I think somebody should go and time the interviews for that one. But 15 seconds remaining. You got the scoreboard. Tim, Casey, Frank. I think all of this is going to go out the window. Everybody knows it's the last, open race that's going to be streamed today here for everybody before we get ready for L. It's about leaving it all out there. Let's finish off strong. Whoever wins on Saturn, you get to feel good if you're going to get in and ride some more in Zone L on your own. Here is Nigel Doyle with inertia straight out of the gun here as he's trying to attack away. So Nigel Doyle will be in the next zone of racing. So inertia at 43. Not sure if that's very high or not. We'll see as the racing progresses and other riders use theirs. But there is a 4km/h wind out on the track. Oh, there's a block! Oh, that is a block. Wait. I see Casey's waving to the camera as well. So it is Nigel, it is Quinten. Quinten in second place here. Frank looks to the side of the road. And let's see who it is that instigates. It's Quinten. Quinten 23, 20, 18, 15. He goes down. It could also be Nigel. Let's go and talk to Quinten on that one. Both of them could be culprits. Quinten, did you instigate that or was it Nigel?
I had nothing to do with that one. I was caught by surprise. The only people that I blocked was Jeff, because he came up on the other lane, and I just wanted to swerve out as quick as possible. So,
well, I'm sorry. I was so close. You cannot tell in that regards whether it was you or Nigel. But it seems like Nigel. Quinten, why do you think Nigel did that?
I have absolutely no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm a little bit flabbergasted.
I think all of us are. But Nigel seizing the situation. Thanks, Quinten. I'll let you get back to your hot fought out battles out on Saturn, which have actually gotten a resurfaced, a new visual. So it does look different out on CVRcade. I do miss the old roads because it was one of the first cool graphics that came into the game. But it has gotten a new look, which looks awesome. I like the track as well, which is updated. So we see Allison, we see Casey. They are taking advantage of the dish that Nigel Doyle served cold. I mean, that was the move out of The Godfather. I mean, that's waking up with something in your bed. I mean, Nigel Doyle is just, Allison swinging to the right, then swinging back into the left there as she accelerates with the weight lifted here. So 30 kilograms lighter on the incline. You've got weight lifted and you've got inertia. You got underdog here. So we see Tim is in second place here out on the track. Tim Fulford is down in 12th place currently. So that block taking him out of the racing. And Casey is currently winning on the top. Now, there's 4 races remaining. Tim is going to take them off one by one. That is Thomas Tibbling, gone. Ed Laverick, gone. Now, next up is Homer Thompson, who will most likely also be added to the list. But Tim has got 5 points to the differ here. How will it pan out? This opens the door as well for Frank Garcia, depending on where Casey Shum finishes. So you see the 2 Cycling Hub co-captains here. Tim has just passed Jeff, which puts Tim 3 points behind. Every rider he catches is 1 point. So he needs to catch up here as Frank Garcia comes around. Casey attempted a block there. I'm not sure if he actually got there. I don't think he did at the end. So 49 kilometers an hour, and Frank Garcia has now taken the lead here on the top. And as I mentioned before, if Casey Shum makes a mistake here, if Casey falls down the ranking and Casey and Tim together end up down in 6th and 7th, then Frank Garcia would end up at the top of the rankings here, as we can see. Now, I do see Louise giving a compliment to Allison on her Canyon SRAM kit. That is an amazing kit. Not as good as the Cognition kit, but we'll let it pass. But there's some tired faces out on the track currently. Casey Shum. I think he may have just been replaced by Ben Shuilong, who's getting ready for the next zone as well. So Casey Shum out on track. Alison Kubota as well in second place. I was wondering why Casey had frozen up like that and just starting to look really, really tired. No, he didn't just stand still in time. He got replaced by Ben Shuilong, who's ready for the next zone of racing. Sebastian is trying to come back too. So the secondary positions are also up for grabs here. So Tim and Casey first and second. Tim is currently, Tim and Casey first and second. Frank in third. Then you've got Allison, Sebastian, Quinton, Rick, Thomas, who all can take fourth through eighth here, depending on where they finish. I think Sebastian recognizes this. If Allison makes a mistake here, or if Sebastian can catch back up, he's got a chance to move on up through the rankings here. Now, they are teammates, but on some days, when it's just for fun, it's just for testing, you want to do your absolute best here as Sebastian Kuhn gets ready for the spiral here to the left. It's a 36 max kilometers an hour, I think. As you come into the corner, Seb breaks down to 34, Casey's at 30, but we got two racers on the front. We got Frank Garcia and Allison, as Casey has used underdog and weightlifted. He wants to catch back up to Frank here at the top of the racing. Can he do it? Can he make it up to the front of the racing? So let's see, 4 kilometers left. The wind is coming at 4 kilometers an hour as well, so that wind on your back really the weight lifted really changes things here, as the acceleration you can get into a headwind or into a tailwind can really change things up as you get ready for that inertia. Now Frank's used his, and I think we've seen a few others also use theirs. And now it's Allison and Frank, and Casey's up here. Sebastian is also coming back. So that early block from Nigel Doyle has really shaked things up. It didn't allow for a group to form. It didn't allow for riders to get settled in. Nigel went to the front. He went to the left, and he said, you know what? Goodbye, everybody. So Nigel Doyle having a bit of fun out on the track. On the left, it's Allison. On the right, it's Frank. You can see Allison just getting ready as she passes Beth. She didn't want to get blocked. Now, ghosted riders, I think, are not able to block anymore, so she doesn't have to worry about that anyway. But it's interesting to see those initial reactions of, oh, there's somebody up the road here. I've got to be ready to change my lane in case somebody is catching back up with me here. As we see Tim Fulford, 191. He was all the way down in 15th, and now he is making up positions here as he is getting back on touch. He's got Quinton, he's got Casey. We're going to have a great finale. You heard Tim say that as well. And Sony, this was a good finish. I think we're about to see something very similar here on Saturn in Zone K. So, I like that Mud KG is giving us some movie trivia mixed in with some track trivia. See that black obelisk? It's from the movie Odyssey 2001. Now there's some great movies about space, and there's also some poor movies. Let us know in the chat which movies you like about space the most. It's Tim Fulford, Casey Shum down here in 5th and 6th. Now, Frank is in 4th overall. He's actually been passed by Sebastian Kuhn. So Sebastian, from all the way back here, has moved into 1st position, and he's just going to fight on. This is one of the tracks that we see Sebastian Kuhn do really well on. Mountain bike by Jesper, we've seen him perform on. Now, Saturn as well. But I think Quentin, he's going to want to try and just stay on the outside. I think he's trying to force a mistake. Oh! The speed differential wasn't big enough, but it was for Allison. And Allison looked so promising. And with just a lap and a quarter to go, she crashes in the corner. And the dreams crash with her as she's now down in 7th place. Can she make up the gap? From 3rd, from 4th, down to 7th. And she tries to overcompensate. We've all known that once the cookie jar is opened, you don't just have one cookie. You've got to have 2 cookies. And then sometimes, before you know it, you've had 10 cookies. And it's the same way with crashes. Once you've crashed once, they all kind of just taste like chocolate chip cookies, and you can't just stop. You've got to do more. But Allison gets back in here with the use of her power-ups. She catches up to Frank. She's got to be careful. She's going relatively quick, but she brakes just in time. She's got Casey on the right, Frank on the left. This is going to require a bit of finessing. Ooh, Casey there as well, just bumping into Frank, but doesn't crash. 2 kilometers left. Last lap of racing. The 4 races in the Omnium coming to an end here for Zone K as we get ready for Zone L. Casey Shum has accelerated. We can't show him because Ben Shuilong is in the broadcast ready to go. But what we can show you is his teammate who is putting out equal effort right now. Sitting there pressing the plus button. Quinton Mullinace in 4th place. He does also move up to 5th place overall. So non-physical riders mixing with physical riders. And now Casey Shum with his momentum has gone over the top. And it's up to Sebastian Kuhn to close the gap. Tim's not going to do it. Or is he, just as I say that? I think he's going to. I think he's just going to leave Sepp behind and get ready for a sprint finale. So he's been sitting on the wheel of Sepp. And now Tim Fulford instigating an attack. Look at this. Tim Fulford standing up. Not letting Casey Shum get away here. So the force awakens as Tim Fulford stands on the pedals. 1.3 kilometers. We've got 5 minutes, I think. 6 minutes until the next zone begins, everybody. We got more racing as this is coming to a conclusion. So don't go anywhere. We've got Zone L coming up next. It is Team Hive, newly formed Team Hive up against old team that has been around a very long time, Velocity Vixen. That is what we're going to be watching here after this. So make sure, stick around. We're going to see some head-to-head racing here. It's Tim versus Casey versus Quinton and Sebastian Kuhn further down. He knows this is it. 800 meters. I'm going to throw everything into this headwind. And this is just 2 different ways of showing pain. Sebastian rocking the body. He is listening to Rammstein. And you've got Tim Fulford very, very still all the way up through his body. And he's fighting on through. But he's still hurting. Just doesn't show the same way. Now Quinton Mullinace, he wants to get in the mix. He's yet to win a race today. He says he's helping out, but I think he secretly wants to win this one. He sees what's happening with Tim, with Casey. We'll see if the acceleration here onto the climb can make the difference. Tim Fulford goes with a weight lifted. Quinton Mullinace with a weight lifted, but the physical rider can push harder. The physical rider can accelerate quicker. Can Quinton make up for it? Casey, 2 seconds back. Sebastian, 3 seconds back. This is going to be a miracle if anyone can overtake Tim here to the end. Winning the 2nd race. Winning the 3rd race. And Tim Fulford, who, I mean, the nickname has been going around Darth Vader. I mean, he's just dominant. I mean, there's one Death Star after another with laser beams, you know, destroying planets and hopes and all in between. And Tim Fulford wins another race here on Saturn, taking it as Quinton. I just see Quinton crashing the edge of my eye. Sebastian will take 3rd. Casey gets 2nd. Alison Kubota will come across the line in 5th, just after Quinton. Excellent effort from Alison. You've got Frank Garcia and Rick Woods here fighting it out into the line. I think Rick Woods just pips Frank Garcia, saying, "Hey Frank, I've got a sprint too." He crosses the line. So that's it for Zone K, as we watch the highlights here of Saturn once more. Good race. Not sure what Nigel Doyle was doing. I think there will be some follow-up action on that one, as that'll be interesting to see how it pans out, how that racing develops. So you can see here the last bit of racing after it was a crash. Not a crash, it was a block from Nigel, bringing everyone to a stop. And I'll say, we looked at the highlight and you could not tell whether it was Nigel or Quinton. Good thing we had Quinton on the broadcast so he could clear everything up. And then you see Allison pushing on through into the headwind, up on the climb, on the gradients, trying to get away here and move on up. Now, I do see, if Phil Lovett is listening, I do see Phil in Zone L's test race. Phil, make sure to join Zone L for the normal races. For Zone L test, it is reserved for the 2 teams, Team Hive and Team Velocity Vixen. There's plenty of racing still to be had over in the other race, but everybody's public service announcement, Zone L test will be reserved for a test of a head-to-head between Hive and Velocity Vixen. If you want to race, there's still an Omnium you can do, but it's called just L. But in the end, it is Tim Fulford who wins 3 races in a row here. Tim, congratulations. I think somebody else might just be joining in. I think Nigel's getting in here. I think everybody is lining up. Let's see if we've still got anyone ready from the previous zone. I think all racers have just got in. I think they're all amped. So if you want to hear more from the racers of the previous zone, they're going to be around on the various social media. They're going to be back again tonight here in Zone T. So if you want to hear from the various racers, you make sure to stick around. But if somebody can get the message across to Phil Lovett that he's entered the wrong zone, please do so he can get into the right one, because I see everyone is lining up. So without further ado, let's go and chat to the two team captains. I see Timothy getting lined up. Timothy, Team Hive. Are you ecstatic to finally be a team name?
Oh, Team TBD is no more. Team Hive for the win. Yeah, I'm super excited to go public today with everything. So yeah, this test event, this is our show. We're gonna show everybody how it's done.
How do you think this racing is gonna pan out? Your team 4 versus 4, best top 3 count. So I would add the captain role, which was announced, but let's I'm just doing it because the mental math that I've got to run at the same time to keep it simple. But 4 versus 4, best 3 count. What do you think?
Yes, Jennifer. Sorry. Hearing different voices in my head. I'm not sick, I swear. No, it's top 3 that counts. So we'll see if if Team Velocity puts one as a Derny type style rider. So 1 helper and 3 guys that go for the victory. But yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go. We'll see.
Well, we got 30 seconds remaining here. We'll chat to Beth after the next race because we'll let everybody get set up and get ready. I know everybody is jumping in. But here are the racers that you're going to be seeing. Ben Shuilong, Team Hive. Kayla Laguna, also Team Hive. She's a substitute stand-in today. Is she permanent? We don't know, but she is definitely on the roster today. We have everybody's favorite Saturn blocker, Nigel Doyle, as well. So I think he's getting in the racing, but we'll see him through here as we get ready with the racing. So first race up, we got the same 4 set of races in this Omnium. We've got Aquavella, we got New York City, you got Mountain Bike by Jesper, and we finish it off with Saturn. So we see the racers are in here. You got Kayla moving on up here. You got Carl Axel Sander as well with the patented camera angle. So 4 versus 4. You'll see him by the skins they're wearing. You got colors. Blue, I think in this case, looking is Vixen. And I think that the purple out there is Team Hive. Top 3 scorers, top 3 best scorers is those that count. Now, the official rules do state a captain in there, but because we don't have team scoring in the game, for the sense of keeping my head not spinning around, we kept it to just the scorers without the captains. As Vibeke Bertram also. Now, Vibeke won her first real Omnium on Thursday. She was a beast, but then we found out she'd rather be called the Chicken. So, Vibeke Bertram's nickname is the Chicken. Who knew that? Vibeke Bertram, absolute machine on the bike, goes in the real world by the name Chicken, or by the nickname Chicken. So here we go. Getting ready here. Beth York as well. You got Timothy off the back here with a comeback kit. So who's going to be the first one to launch the sprint here? Who's going to get ready for the sprint? We got Farquhar Chips. Welcoming back, Andrew. Good to see you. You missed Zone K, but we've got Zone L. So Timothy has upgraded from the t-shirt. He's rocking some sort of, athletic wear shirt, I think that might be. But he's ready to go as well as we get ready for the sprint finale here. As we got Beth out on course as the team captain. You got Timothy also leading Team Hive. With so few races, it comes down to the timing of the sprint, but you're going to want to try and set up your team for the best possible finish here in the sprint, because not only do you need to win, you got to also make sure your teammates go with it. And Nigel Doyle puts in a bit of a dig here, 500 watts off the front. He's got the Velocity Vixen kit in real life and in the game. It's Vibeke Bertram closing him down. 600 meters, 2 laps remaining here. Hive versus Team Velocity Vixen in the track. I do think Jennifer Garcia may have missed the start here to the first race, so we'll see if she can join in to the next race, which is going to be New York Cityscape. But that is going to hurt their chances towards the overall here, as they're missing out on some very crucial points, but they can make it up later as we come to the sprint finish here. Side by side, got Beth Yorick leading out the Velocity Vixens. You got Timothy Tamut, who's going with 200 meters. He stands up. You can barely see him. He's in the bottom of the screen here. But Timothy Tamut, who has done so well on the low skill events, will take first. And then I think I see that's going to be close. Beth Yorick takes second. So the two leaders of both teams go on to take first and second. Then you got Ben in third, Colin fourth, Kayla, Vibeke, Nigel. So it looks like the first round goes to Team Hive in terms of points, but it's going to be the next few races that really make it up. The low skill event, they go around, they warm up the legs. But here we go for the next race. I see we've also got a newcomer into the racing here. Tom T is joining into the CVRcade World Cup racing for the first time. So a Cade cadet. But loading up the sprint. Beth on the left, Timothy on the right. You see the sprints. Ben at 1200 equalized watts, but he's taking up all the wind. And Timothy at 1400, he comes right on through. He takes first. Now, we've just heard from Timothy. Let's hear from him again in the racing. Timothy, congratulations winning that first race of the day. We've seen you do quite well in low skill event. How important was that one? And also, did you think about the team?
Oh, definitely it was important because Jennifer missed the start. She was in the, something was wrong. She was sent in the wrong event. But it's all fixed now. She's back. So we needed maximum points on that first race. Yeah, I'm really happy we did. So yeah, on to the next one.
Well, let's go and hear from Beth, because we didn't get a chance before in the racing. Beth, man, that sprint, it looked like that was a different level of intensity from you in that sprint.
Well, maybe. I had a little anxiety getting into the race pen, a little bit of technical issues on my mechanical on my bike, and so I was like, ah! So I was probably just panicking, glad that it's over. But the low skill events are super fun. I feel like you get lucky. Maybe I just timed it right. But yeah, it's nice to come into this next event with that one behind, warmed up, and I love this next track. Really fun with Uncrashable. I think it'll be really fast. So yeah, no, it's fun to be here. I love trying the team format, and the Hive logo is so cool, guys. I love it. Almost as cool as the Vixen.
This is trash talking done wrong, everybody. I'm not sure this is how they do it in the big leagues. They get ready for the Super Bowl. You've got the Chiefs, you know, complimenting the 49ers. Let's go and hear, by the way, from somebody who may not be getting a lot of compliments.
Thanks, Jesper.
Nigel, that block on Saturn, I think everybody's wondering, what was that?
Oh, I'm just practicing for this. It's just a game. And I was trying to block Quentin because he's on a keyboard. I was giving him a bit of love. But it's just a game, guys. No money on the line. Doesn't matter. Let's just spice it up, make it more interesting for the people watching. Yeah, if there was money on the line, I wouldn't do that. But hey, this doesn't matter. Get over it, guys.
So if there's going to be some heated arguments, you don't just turn the other eye. You're like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
I see Quentin's posted on Facebook already. Whatever, Quentin.
Oh, I'm loving it, Nigel. Nigel, good luck here racing in the next race. New York Cityscape coming up in this race. I do see we've got Tom T and Phil Lovett, which excites me. I guess you're more than welcome to race in here. It's all inclusive. It is a test, but we got two people, so I guess this is a tug of war. I think Tom T, if I go to the front, he's a Cade cadet. Looks like it's his first time racing an event on CVRcade. Phil Lovett, he's a Cade competitor, so he's got a chance of, you know, changing up things in this one. Jennifer is also back in the racing. How come we were missing you in the last race, Jennifer?
I think I accidentally scheduled the test and the other zone, and I was trying to switch back and forth, and it like wouldn't let me. And I last minute unscheduled the non-test zone, and I think it would have worked, but it was within the time limits, unfortunately. So made it to this one. super unfortunate, but it's going to be all right.
I think we can take the responsibility from the us and the events team on that one, because whoever thought naming two zones almost identically but only changing like one word, not sure psychologically that's the best option. But being a member of a team, being dominant, Jennifer, how do you feel going into this one now that you're officially Team Hive?
Very nervous, but very excited. We're out here to, you know, prove what we're worth, and so there's a little bit of pressure, but it's not the World Cup yet. So we're gonna get in some training along the way.
Well, I like to see how this one plays out, Jennifer. Good luck in this one, but missing out on a few points in the previous race, maybe that'll be the differentiator at the end of the day. But if we bring up here the big scoreboards, you can see next to Jennifer as well here. It is Timothy, 30 points, Beth, 26, Ben, 23, Carl, 21, Kayla, Vibeke down as well. So, best three scores count, but there are so many points up for grabs. This was a great race in Zone K when it was Frank, it was Casey, it was Tim. They were getting on the gloves and they were getting ready to go, you know, 12 rounds. In the end, I think it was a KO in the 11th round where the referee TKO'd it. We'll see how that's going to pan out in this one. 50 seconds to go. We'll let the teams rest up. But depending on how the racing will go, we'll go to either Beth or Timothy during the racing to get their take. What do they think? Where are they at? And it doesn't matter if they're at 190 or 200 equalized heart rate. The broadcasting room, the executive VMix operator doesn't discriminate. He will come when it is most required for the broadcast here. So chat, who do you think is going to win Cityscape New York? Are you Team Velocity Vixen or are you Team Hive? We got 3 laps, Cityscape New York, uncrashable as an ability, 2 Racer's Edge, and 1 Greater Responsibility. Who do you think is going to win and why? As we get ready here, it is Nigel Doyle, who was just practicing in the previous race. He was having fun, wasn't worried about, you know, any blocks. And it is a straight out of the gate. It's Velocity Vixen with Greater Responsibility straight out of the gate. Did they catch Team Hive napping on that one? Nigel Doyle, Beth, Carl, Vibeke. This is team strategy at its finest. Can Vibeke get back on here? So right out of the gate, the 4 riders here all wearing matching kits. As you can see, they have attacked away, but they only have 2 seconds. The chasing group behind, led on by Timothy, by Jennifer, by Kayla, as they're trying to go with, they've saved their Greater Responsibilities. Timothy he bounces into Jennifer, slowing down her momentum. So looks to be a tiny bit of panic amongst the ranks of Team Hive here as they're trying to get every single rider into a good position. So it was a good move there from Velocity Vixen. Greater Responsibility straight from the gun as we get ready here. As Tom is moving on up as well as a K cadet. So here you got it. On the right, Timothy Tamont in the pink. It looks like Team Hive are struggling to get organized as a team here. They're struggling. There's only teammates on the road. Everybody wants to solve this situation on their own. Instead of catching a breath, looking at it and making a decision, it looks like they're all just struggling to get organized, with Ben further up the road, and then you've got Timothy, Jennifer, Kayla. Meanwhile, in the Velocity Vixen camp, they had a strategy straight from the gun. They utilized their Greater Responsibility, then their Racer's Edge, and now it's Carl Axel Sander with another Racer's Edge here on New York City to try and get away. So they're going to start to look at each other here. They're going to start to try and take turns on the front and starting to, you know, build out the gap. But this is the thing though, like for Timothy, for Ben, for Kayla, for Jennifer, if they can bring back that gap, if they can bring back the pack, they have a massive advantage because they still have Greater Responsibility left to use. So with every second that goes and they get closer and closer, this is going to be interesting to see how it goes. Wim says, I think Hive because Jennifer is still fresh. Allison Duck says Vix Hive. I'm not sure that counts, Allison, as a pick. We'll see. DK Mansuni says, can't wait to start designing tracks in there. Kate Cadet Tom says Andrew. I like it. Quinton also says, oi, team leader Tamont, get your group together. It looks like they've finally gotten their stuff together. Ben Shui Long is trying to stick with Thomas or Tom here in the front here. So, Ben, opting not to stay with his teammates here, but opting to stay with Tom out on the track. 8 seconds, 7 seconds is the difference. We're seeing, this the efficiency of a team really being put on display here. If we go to the front and you watch Vibeke, you watch Beth, you watch Carl, one long line. They have Nigel on the back as they just take a turn. Now, Carl has been on the front from the gun. They basically, as Tim said, they took all their eggs, they threw it in one basket, and now the question is whether or not it's going to flip over and those eggs are going to crack. So Carl Axel Sander has done his turn. Beth York will now be the next one up. So Velocity Vixen, they've got a pace line, and they're saving a rider. Now, it is your top 3 scorers that count. So you could technically waste a rider. You could designate a rider that could really go on through and not do much. Now, for Vixen, for Hive, that rider would possibly be Jennifer, because Jennifer missed the first race, meaning she doesn't take the most amount of points. But then again, Jennifer has been going really, really hot lately in the Omnium. So you've got to make all these decisions on the fly, and that's what makes team racing interested. So the racing may look like it's all getting settled very early, but that's only because you saw Velocity Vixen with a greater responsibility straight from the gun. When you have a team, orchestrated attack like that, it is very tough to make it on up. So Jennifer is working with Timothy, with Kayla in this chasing group, while it is Beth York on the front. So 2 very, very different scenarios. It's essentially a team, pursuit. It's a team pursuit between 2 teams. Who can be the most efficient, who can use their riders, who can use their power-ups to the highest efficiency, as it looks like Beth may have frozen as she's coming back here on the left. Vibeke is now her turn on the front. Vibeke as well has been getting so incredibly strong here. And you got, here it goes, here comes the move. I was going to say, you're going to start to wonder, when are they going to do it? And it's greater responsibility from Timothy and Jennifer, but it's Kayla who is not really in sync. I'm not sure if she used her great responsibility yet, but now they're trying. We saw riders get up to 81 kilometers an hour in the previous zone, but they're just still trying to get back in. I thought we'd see a bigger oomph once you get back up to speed with the greater responsibility, but we've yet to see that. Jennifer still on the front here, still fighting on through here. You really gotta have your chain gang in order. You've gotta have your team set up. You gotta have the riders in a line. They've gotta know exactly what they're doing. As looks like Kayla Laguna is really struggling right now to get back on terms. She's a 190 equalized heart rate. She's the 4th rider for the day. And with greater responsibility gone, Kayla is going to struggle to get back up. Right now, Velocity Vixen is in a driving position. Ben Shui Long at the back here, trying to get the group going. But they can see them. Up into the distance, they can see the riders. They can see what they're chasing. And now they use Racer's Edge. Jennifer Garcia, 191, Racer's Edge. The cadence is coming through here. When you can see the carrot you're chasing, when you can see the group up ahead, it makes all the difference. And Jennifer's trying to bring the team on her back. Uncrashable is the ability here. You don't have to worry about sliding out through the corners. And 5 seconds now is the gap. Vibeke sitting comfortably in the middle of the group here. Nigel is on the right. And then you got Jennifer chasing it down. But she's not really bringing that many teammates with her. They've got Ben just a few seconds behind. They got Timothy a few seconds. And then Kayla is now out of the picture 10 seconds behind. So Velocity Vixen having a rider's advantage. The gap is coming down. It is 4 seconds now as we pass the park again. And you can see Jennifer very, very motivated, very enthusiastic. But what happens when it all comes back? Pretty much all power-ups are gone. Pretty much all, but maybe 1 or 2 Racer's Edges here. Let's go and chat. Let's go and hear from Beth York, because we're going to go to the teams ever so often. Beth, the situation, are you happy with it? Oh.
All right.
I think she is. They've got the team strategy going on. What we will do instead is we'll go to Timothy, and we'll see if we can get a word from him as well. Timothy, 3rd place. You're almost getting back on.
What are you doing to me, Jesper?
Well, I said we're going to be unbiased.
We're back, and
Did you get caught
We're
off
good.
guard by the greater responsibility?
no, we expected it, but we choose to wait a bit.
Do you reckon now, last question, that was the right decision?
We'll see.
We'll see. I'll let you get back. I'll let you get back to breathing here for a second as we go to the front group. Nigel Doyle. There's now been contact made. I would not, if there's a wheel, I would not sit on Nigel Doyle. Oh, let's cut away here to Jennifer. As Nigel Doyle is working with the group. If there's a wheel, I would not sit on. It is Nigel Doyle as he has blocked them in the past. So. Nigel already slowing them down once. Uncrashable is an ability, so he's got the possibility of doing it again. Now you see Vibeke as well on the left here. 4.3 kilometers left. I like him. Oh, Nigel again with some more. Oh, this is Vibeke this time around. So they're using different riders here. So Team Up Racing. We're seeing some spicy racing here from the riders. You're seeing Vibeke on Jennifer, so they've soloed out Jennifer as a threat. But this is Velocity Vixen losing a rider. We're down to 3 versus 3, and no mod KG. You can definitely not unsee that. So there's 3 versus 3. Jennifer, Timothy catching back up. On the front, it's Beth York and Carl Axel Sander who have attacked away. 2 riders here taking some big points on Cityscape New York. It's only the second race of the day. You've got Mountain Bike by Jesper and Saturn up after this as well. And you can see Beth, you can see Carl. They're getting into the swing of things. One final lap remaining here as they are riding away. Looking at the scoreboard, it is Beth, it is Carl. They have about 150 points added. Then you add Nigel, so roughly 200 points currently for Velocity Vixen. You look at Team Hive. They have 120 between Timothy and Ben. Then you've got to add Kayla, so 160. So a 40-point swing right now out on the track as they're going to have to make it up on the next set of races. Very much possible, but it's an uphill battle as it currently stands as Jennifer makes it back here. She wants to win this one. She wants to take the most amount of points, and she comes on through. She passes Beth. She passes Carl Axel Sander, and can she single-handedly carry her new team? Can she bring Hive to the promised land? Timothy, Nigel, Ben, they're 6 seconds down here. What's going to happen now towards the end here is Moti is watching the stream and lip reading the action as it's unfolding. Beth, Jennifer, Carl, they're making up the front group of 3. Velocity Vixen still having the numerical advantage. So what does Jennifer do? Does she think about taking the victory, taking the maximum amount of points, or is she trying to slow it down? We go on and we look at the team leader, that is Timothy Tamont. Not the biggest fan that we went and chatted to him, but we got some good information there that they didn't get caught off guard. They knew this would happen, and now for secondary positions, they're fighting out for the 3rd place as well. So the sprint here coming up is going to be interesting. If you are still going to have a racer's edge. I think a few still have 1 or 2 racer's edges. We saw that in the previous zone as well when you came up to the sprint, but we get ready. Now, Beth, 193. She's feeling the burn here. She's feeling the effort being put on by Jennifer. So Jennifer has ridden Beth York off her wheel. I mean, Jennifer is just giving this everything. Is Carl Axel Sander going to be the next victim of the tornado that is Jennifer Garcia? Beth has to be careful she doesn't go further back down, because then Timothy, Ben, they could come through here and take very valuable points. But how's Carl Axel Sander looking? We haven't seen from him in a while. He's been getting up there. He's been stronger, but we can see him talking. He's talking to the teammate. He's talking to the riders. Now, Beth gets back on again. They've got to make a decision. This is where Frank Garcia went the last time around. Carl looks fresh. Jennifer looks fresh as well here. And we look to the 2 riders as Jennifer's just not gone off the front. She's sat at the front and she's keeping Nigel, keeping Vibeke back, hoping, thinking that Timothy and Ben are going to take secondary positions. So this is panning out to be a good situation for both teams, actually. Like, Jennifer, if she goes on to win this for Hive, they take maximum points. And then if they can do damage limitations, well, from how it looked at the beginning to where it looked to now, night and day. But here we go, 1.3 kilometers. Beth is at 190. Carl does still not have a heart rate monitor attached in the game. As we see, Jennifer, is she going to sprint? Is she going to bring back the washing machine cadence? Carl stands up, moves to the right. They've got the numbers advantage here. Carl is trying to move into the left, but they won't allow him. So, is he going to go all the way to the back here for the sprint? You would think they would use the numerical advantage to go 1-2. But I think they're so scared of what Jennifer might be able to do that they want to leave this as late as possible. As we look to the side here, Jennifer still leading it on. That you can just feel how tense this finish is going to be. There goes Carl though. Avatar stands up. Jennifer still yet to move. The heart rates have stabilized around 190. There goes Beth. Beth goes. She has Racer's Edge, 500 equalized watts. Who is going to follow it? So far, she's got the gap, the initiative, the move, the acceleration. And now she has to pull it through to the end. When you go this far out, that is all you've got to do. Beth York, 500 meters. She might be running out of steam now. As you look at the chasing group, Carl Axel Sander. Ben still has his great responsibility. Oh my goodness. Watch for Ben Shuilong. Great responsibility. 5 seconds down. What does he have? Does he have enough momentum to come on through? 4 seconds is the difference. They're too far up. They're too far up. We go back to the side by side here as it's going to be an intense finish. Beth York at 200 equalized heart rate. She gets passed by her teammate Carl Axel Sander. But the victory remains with Velocity Vixen. 1, 2, 3 for Jennifer, 4 for Ben Shuilong. What a race. Ben kept his great responsibility. Questions will be had about that strategy. Nigel, then you got Vibeke Bertram over next. Timothy Tamont as well. That was just the first 2 races. Now we get ready for mountain bike by Jesper. Next race up, we've got 6 laps of racing. We saw Tim Fulford taking the win on that earlier. Let's go to the sprint finish. That was all over the place. You had great responsibility from Ben. There was the dilemma. Is he going to come back? Is he not going to come back? Then you had Beth at 200 equalized heart rate. A sprint for so long. I mean, that could not be closer. Then Carl Axel Sander. I hope Carl has got his headphones on because I'd love to go chat with him because that sprint was so tense. Like, you know when you're sitting at the edge of your seat and you're like, oh, will they, won't they, oh, no, and you're not watching a rom-com, you're watching CVRcade racing, and you're just thinking it's meant to be, and it's like, just pulls off. Anyway, somebody out there will know what I'm talking about. Carl, we're watching the sprint finish here once more. Talk me through that final kilometer.
Oh, yeah, it was, in theory, pretty easy, you know, when we're 2 and they're 1, and, you know, let one attack and then the other one just stay on the opponent wheel and, you know, and just pass them in with 300 meters to go. So it was, I guess, textbook's example of how it should be executed.
Now, that great responsibility in the beginning, what was the mindset from the team behind using that so early?
Oh yeah, we wanted to do a, you know, a team time trial, you know, so everyone through those that 5 or 10 second great responsibility, 1300 extra watts, you know, to hopefully establish a 5-second breakaway, and then we just hammer down, try to keep them away.
Now, we do need to see you get when are we going to see you get a heart rate strap in the game? I'd love to know just how high your heart beats.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm actually wearing a heart rate strap. And it's recording into the game, but it's a problem with the interface. It's not showing, you know, next to my rider, but, you know, it's in the file, so it works with the equalization and everything. But I'm working with the team, you know, to get my specific fix working for it. So it's hopefully coming soon.
Hopefully. I want to see 220. I want to see 400. I want to see 1,000. I want to see you break the game, Carl. But thanks for being good sport and being here. Let's go and chat with, you know, the opposing team. Let's go and hear from Jennifer, because Jennifer, it felt like for a bit there you just took the team on your shoulders and said, I'm going to close this gap on my own and I'm going to win this race. Was that the case?
I don't know. I was just really scared. I know some people like are pretty good at closing down gaps, and I'm not one of them. And so when I saw it growing, I was like, heck, like I have to go. Or there's no hope. Because I know like Timothy, Ben, Kayla might have been able to close it down if it got bigger, but I was worried about myself. And so I think I kind of was just like, all right, like it's all or nothing on this. And I did close it, and I didn't have enough left in me at the end there for the sprint, unfortunately. So.
How's the team morale? Because it looked like you guys had a plan, but then Velocity Vixen just kind of out-executed you on it. Is morale still high within the team?
It's a little low, but we're definitely gonna amp it up here for these next few races. Yeah, I get like at the beginning of the race when that happens, it can be pretty scary. So I think it was like right out the gun they got us, and that was really strategic on their part. But we're definitely gonna bring some new stuff to these next ones.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Let's go and hear from Nigel, because Nigel, I think you have just, like, I don't think anyone can just unsee what they saw in that previous race.
The same one because I need him to catch up.
Oh, I think Nigel is chatting team strategy. As much as I'd love to just, I think for the World Cup we might actually just show team strategy if somebody is on, turn on the audio. But for the sake of being fair today across the teams, I mean, we'll keep it that way. But you are at risk for the World Cup just to have your audio turned on and gone to you at random times. So keep that in mind. Let's go and chat with somebody who was fighting hard. We've got Vibeke Bertram as well in the chat. Vibeke, that last race, it looked like you guys was a well-oiled machine. You were taking turns. Was that fun? Oh, never mind. I think Vibeke. No worries, Vibeke. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It looked like you guys were taking turns in the front. You were a well-oiled machine. Was it fun to have, that virtual chain gang where everybody takes a turn and then comes off the front?
Oh yes, definitely. We need to practice a little bit, but it was great fun and almost worked. We need to be better at changing faster.
Well, I'm sure that you'll let them know, Vibeke, and I'm sure you did let them know during the racing, so we'll see how this next race pans out. We got 1 minute coming up before the next race here to give you a quick, rough estimate of how the scores are looking. As I mentioned before, it looks like Carl and Beth, Velocity Vixen, are gathering 150 points, 160 points for Velocity Vixen. You have Nigel adding 54, so about 210. Again, math, don't quote me on this, but rough estimates. Then you got Ben and Timothy racking up 127 points, and then you add in Kayla, and so you have about 170. So 40 points in between, but 40 points in this race is nothing. If you take first, second, and third in this one, it is game on, and Saturn will be the decider. So we'll see how it pans out. 6 laps. You got power plant, inertia, wind at your back. You got all the CVRcade community watching this. They're watching Hive versus Velocity Vixen riders riding together as a team. How will this one pan out? We get ready again here. Jennifer Garcia, 5 seconds before she launches out of the gate. She almost made it back and completed the comeback to take the victory, but she just didn't have it in the end. Will this be any different? You see Timothy, Ben, Kayla with the wind at their back, but Jennifer feels like she doesn't need to use hers. So early attack here, and Ben goes down. That is big for Team Hive. Ben Shuilong not only letting himself down, but letting the team down with that mistake, because in the overall scoreboard, they need him back. Now the advantage is in the court of Velocity Vixen. Timothy Tamont has taken up the lead on the front here. He now moves to the top of the rankings with 137 points. This is a track he likes. It's short, it's snappy, and you can move on through. Quentin is saying choke. Well, when the pressure is on, it can be very, very difficult to maintain, your composure and make the right decisions. But right now, for Team Hive, they're sitting in a good position. And then Beth goes down. One mistake from Hive. One mistake from Velocity Vixen. Bring that one up on the replay, because I think Beth is just moving across there without having to. So going from Timothy, going back to the chasing group and looking at where Beth is, you'll see that she moves over a lane to the right. There she is. She moves over. We just cut there, and she hits the back of one of Team Hive members there. So That's gotta be hard. You gotta do something there. But as Beth crashes, it's Vibeke Bertram, it's Nigel Doyle. They can't wait. Like, they cannot wait. They have to do something, as I think we just saw an inertia being used there. But they can't afford to wait for Beth, because they've got to catch Jennifer, they've got to catch Timothy. The only way they lose this overall is that if Jennifer and Timothy come back here and really put in a good attack and regain some points on the overall. And you can see Nigel now with the sipped up jersey. He's ready, he's fighting for it. He wants to catch back up. He used the power plant. He doesn't have one left. He's got one wind at his back and one inertia. So we're going to see what happens. I like what Doodad Athlete says. If your name starts with a B-E, you may be in bad luck. Both Ben and Beth crashing in that one. So we'll look how it pans out now. We got Team Hive, Timothy, Jennifer. They've got to try and figure out what they do here. Because you may find yourself thinking, okay, we're gonna link up, we're gonna do the drafting, we're gonna try and save as much energy. But we've seen with Cycling Hub that when Casey and Tim write each their own game, they just have a different way. And then, oh, Nigel keeps bumping. Oh, Nigel Doyle, that was a recipe for disaster. Make sure we've got that one loaded up on the replays. But he comes back with the inertia, so it's not all over. He gets the slingshot, you know, he gets loaded back up, fires off, there's another rock in there, and now he gets ready. But looking at the instant replay, he did exactly what Frank did. Sprinted way too hard, used inertia at the bottom, and then he just keeps bumping into Timothy because the speed differential is not high enough to be a crash. So he keeps bumping. Then when he slides into the rocks, well, the rocks, I think the speed differential is high enough. But Nigel, despite the crash, is not out of it. So Timothy, Jennifer are taking up the points. We move on down. Carl Axel Sander in 5th. He fought so hard in the last race to make up those points, to keep Jennifer behind him. And so we see him now. Vibeke, Nigel, they've still got 3 racers here. They're like Team Hive to making up the numbers here. They severely need Ben Shuilong or Kayla to move on up here to try and take some points away coming into the last race. Because now you see Carl passing Vibeke, and Jennifer has gone down. Jennifer Garcia has attempted to magnify her lead on the front, but yet another mistake. Another mistake on the front. Ben Shuilong's gone down. Jennifer Garcia's gone down. And now she is down in 5th place. And this severely changes the top of the rankings. This is the highest score multiplier of the day. It is mountain bike by Jesper and Jennifer now. We've seen her come back before. Submerged Stadium, she crashed 3 times, still came back to win. Now, this is a different day, a different Omnium, a different race. She can still do it, but can she out-battle Vibeke Bertram? Can she outfight Carl Axel Sander at this moment? She is gaining time, and she could potentially catch back up to Nigel, but 1.8 kilometers remain. As Vibeke here is shutting the door on Jennifer, not allowing Jennifer to come on through. Let's see from Jennifer's perspective here. Now she's going to accelerate, but it's into Kastrup corner. You've got to brake here, or we might see a bit of turnaround. But as Jennifer comes over Vibeke on the inside, Vibeke with some racecraft saying, you didn't need to do that. I'm at the exact same place, and I spent less energy. And Vibeke again on the front here. Velocity Vixen cementing themselves as blockers. You got Ryan Goldenberg, who's done it a few times. You saw Nigel Doyle do it in Zone K. And now it is happening to Jennifer again as Vibeke accelerating with a power plant. She's trying to do her very, very best to take Jennifer Garcia out of the racing. Now she's got inertia, and with 1.2 kilometers to go, she's trying to catch her breath here. So Crucial Ball thinks that Jennifer will come back. We go and see Nigel versus Timothy. There's a 4-second gap between them, but Nigel is also being caught here by Jennifer. So is Carl Axel Sander. Carl's coming back. This is going to come down to the wire. This final lap is going to make up who's going to make or break this one. Team-wise, Velocity Vixen heavily favored in the overall standings. They look to be set quite comfortably, taking this one unless they make another mistake. But this is where the comeback begins. Velocity Vixen on the left, you can see Carl, Beth, Nigel, first, third, and fourth. Then you got Timothy, Ben, and Jennifer and Kayla further down. Timothy with his inertia on the right. He crashes! He did not need to do that! He hits the rocks, and Team Hive, oh, he comes back with the inertia. It just doesn't matter. And Nigel's like, no, you didn't. Well, what comes around goes around. Nigel gets lucky with the inertia, and it looks like Lady Luck shines on Timothy Tamont as well and says, you know what, we brought Nigel back, we will bring you back as well here. But here comes the sprint finish. The two riders, it's going to be a sprint for Castrop Corner. Nigel moves on the left. He overtakes Timothy here, and he comes around. Timothy wants to get ahead of him before the corner. The overall victory looks to be cemented towards Velocity Vixen, but the individual stage win, Nigel, 200 equalized heart rate. He's got the advantage, 202. He's being pushed to his absolute limit. And Timothy, oh, he gets blocked. Nigel executes the block. Great on Timothy, and Timothy with the applause, and Nigel gets the dance in. He even points towards Timothy. Carl Axel Sander cross in third, Jennifer will be fourth, Vibeke in fifth, then you got Ben Stewie, you got Kayla, you got further down as well, Beth York. So Team Hive, first race with their name and their branding officially disclosed, but it's also could be the beginning of Team Choke. We'll see if that's a storyline that will progress here, as these four riders, they were caught off guard weren't caught off guard, but they were outplayed on Cityscape New York. They were outbattled here on Mountain Bike by Jesper. Up next, we've got Saturn, where we'll finish off with 4 races. You're watching Team Hive versus Velocity Vixen. This is test racing for Season 2 of the CVRcade World Cup. So in the chat, guys, feel free to leave us feedback. You've seen Zone K, you've seen Zone L. What do you like? This head-to-head racing, it's our first time really trying it, figuring it out, taking 2 teams up against each other and showcasing it to you. What do you think? Are you liking the first zone more, all-up racing, or are you more a fan of this kind of different, tense head-to-head racing where they really get to build the storyline? But we see the finish here. Nigel Doyle, a guy who's put in hours upon hours, pushed to his limits. Here in the sprint finish, Timothy Tamont pushes him up to 202 equalized heart rate. Nigel, congratulations, winning that race. You even get an applause from Timothy. How do you feel after winning that one? Because when you crashed, it looked the most dire. Oh, I think Nigel is figuring out everything. I think he's moving stuff around. Oh, are you here, Nigel?
I'm here. Yeah.
When you crashed, talk me through that adrenaline rush when inertia kicked back up.
Oh, I thought, hallelujah. I didn't think I was going fast enough to crash on that corner. I don't know what happened there. I must have moved over a lane or something and then crashed into Timothy, and that made me go over.
Well,
yeah, no, that's lucky.
You came back, and then you had the sprint versus Timothy. Now, 202.
Yeah. That's as hard as I can go.
What pushed you to go further? What was it that pushed you above the edge?
I wanted to beat Timothy.
As simple as that. Well, let's go in here. Let's go and hear from Timothy, because Timothy, it's been an interesting first showing from Team Hive. Is this how you wanted to make your first big reveal to the world?
Well, it's not what I dreamed of, but it's clear that there's some work to do, but that's a given. First time racing all together for the team. So, yeah, there's obviously some work to do, but we keep fighting. It's not over.
There's still this last race up for grabs, and I think if you take all four positions, I think mathematically it's still possible, but individual win here might still be up for grabs. How are you finding this format so far? Because this is a test. It's our first time ever trying 2 teams head-to-head. How have you been finding it so far?
Oh, it's very different with the scoring, because there's a lot of mental math going on during the races and stuff. So I really like it. I gotta say, I really like it. It's not just it's all about the team here. It's not just individual.
Well, let's go and hear from some of your teammates in there, because Jennifer, again, we saw her in there. Jennifer, you're fighting on the front, attacking, and then going down as well. There's been a few crashes today.
There's also been a few barking dogs. Chill out, thank you. Yeah, the crashes were really fun. We all had one, I think, on that last, except for maybe Kayla. Which really hurt us too, because we didn't even have at the beginning. We were in good positions, and oh my gosh, they're going crazy. They want us to take the win on this one at least.
Sounds like it. Well, I'll let you go back to your coaches. You can discuss strategy, figure out how to attack this race. We can go and hear from Ben Shuey along as well, because Ben, I was, what, 10 seconds into the race before we saw you hit the deck? What happened early into that race?
What happened was we decided to use our power-ups at the start, and but there was still quite a lot of traffic, and I could see that I still had some power-up, but I was stuck behind someone, so I tried to move onto the free lane on the outside, but I moved just a little bit too early, and I hit a rock that was just at the end of the disabled lane. So it was yeah, hard to swallow. Just moved that a little bit too soon. Yeah, so after that it was just just fighting to try and get back, maybe one or two places. So I'm pleased I managed to catch Beth and get past Beth. But yeah, it's not been that's not been an ideal start to the team league, but thankfully this is just a test. So you know, we'll learn from it, and yeah, keep fighting.
Well, there's always more. There's always going to be more tests. I do see we've got FOG in the chat who is much better at maths than me. I will not shy away from saying. He says officially, I think Hive's in the lead. If somebody actually has a math like an equation out with the official scores, but when I look top three of the scores, you got Carl, Nigel, and Beth first, second, and fourth, and you got Timothy, Jennifer, and Ben, who are second. I would struggle to see how officially Hive would be in the lead here, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. That's why this is a test, to see how the gameplay performs, how the results come out, and that's why we're doing this to test, because you can't know how it plays out until you see it in live. So if the racers are listening, all you gotta do is race. I mean, don't, for the love of God, trust the math of a guy who's doing 10 things at once while commentating the race. So give it your all, give it everything. One last race coming up here. All the marvels, we're in space. If you want to get home, if you want to get your oxygen mask and stuff, well, you got to go earn it. You've got to find it here to find it back. You got Casey Shum also in the chat. Got FOG saying Hive 352, velocity provisional is 335. So he is scoring. Carl doesn't score without a heart rate strap. That is why 16.5 points is the difference from the scoring. So the scoring is relatively close here. And with Jennifer and Timothy here, you know, doing what they're trying to do here, to do their best to attack, two weightlifted, underdog, and inertia, they're just going to try and attack away. It looks like it might be Beth York struggling a tiny bit on the back. She's covering riders. But if the math of FOG is to be believed here, with Carl not scoring, 16.5 points is the difference. Timothy and Jennifer here taking in the top points. A win in second place here. That is a massive points differential, as we can see. Now, I did see a question in the chat earlier from Mr. Andrew with terms of how big the teams are. Teams can be in sizes of 4, a minimum of 4, to a maximum of 6. Your best 3 score. And in the real team league, you're going to have to designate a captain who scores 1.5 points more, I do believe. We see Beth on the left. We see Timothy on the right here. Beth fought really hard in the first few races, and here she finds herself struggling while Timothy is on the front. But early in the racing here, anything can come back. Vibeke moving on up, and Ben goes down again. Oh, Ben cooking it through the corner here, but he overcooks it. That steak is burnt. But then he does slam the door on Beth York. So a bit of the love that's been shared around comes right back. And so Vibeke and Velocity Vixen get a taste of their own medicine. But with the math being so close here, 16.5 points, 4 seconds is the difference. It pretty much relies on Vibeke and Nigel here because, as I believe the rules state, you've got to have a heart rate monitor connected, and Carl does not. So he would not stand the test of time when it comes to his points, which means Vibeke and Nigel are making up the secondary crusaders out for Velocity Vixen, chasing the points for Timothy and Jennifer. And this is going to be close because I think we're starting to see fatigue creep into Jennifer. It seems like she's slowly letting it go as Nigel has crashed back into Ben. And the racing at the back is heating up and Jennifer is fading. She is slowly starting to feel the fatigue here, and I think we might be looking at her trying to slow down Carl, slowing down Vibeke and letting Timothy go up the road because they need to bring back Ben. If Jennifer, looking at this, if she is starting to fade ever so slightly towards the end here, she's at 192, you would think that Ben Shuilong, he crashed himself, then he forced a crash from Nigel, and now he uses inertia. You can see his face. He's put in a big dig here to get back in. Nigel is out the back. Beth's out the back. Kayla, with an underdog, is struggling. And is Ben going to go right over the top here? Oh, he gets blocked in by Vibeke. It hits the right into the back of Jennifer. Team Hive, few things when they go back and watch the tape, they can make some notes thinking we could do this better, we can do this, because when the World Cup Season 2 begins, there will be a rather large prize purse, most likely, and you're going to want to really bring your A game. Right now, Velocity Vixen just looks like they're a well-oiled machine that know how each other think here, and we will see. Timothy digging away. FOG says virtually a 2-point difference. Velocity is up 2 points, virtually out on track due to Carl not having a heart rate strap. So we see we see Vibeke on the left, Timothy in the lead. Carl moves on up here. So this could change at any moment. Of course, we'll rely on provisional updates on the math from FOG as he runs all the computations, but here we go. Vibeke out the back. She's one of the riders that Team Hive need to get rid of. It's Nigel, it's Vibeke, because Carl right now in the mix does not count, which means Ben, Jennifer, Timothy are bringing back hope. They have had crashes. They have had minor mistakes, but now they're, Vibeke all the way through the corner, just breaks safely. Where is Nigel Doyle currently on the track? He can see space. He can see the Saturn planet here as he's moving towards it, coming into the spiral. He's going to have to slow down. 35. He's still got it. But he crashed into Ben Shuilong. He crashed now on this incline. He can see what he's chasing. And we saw on Cityscape New York how much that mattered to be able to see the riders that you're chasing down. So Nigel, hearing the updates as well from the chat, knowing that Team Hive is technically up by 2 points virtually, and he is the one that matters. He needs to catch Ben. He opts to go to the right here. He takes the long way around. There's an option here. He could crash, but he slows down to 32. Nigel Doyle playing it very, very, very safe here. And with 2 laps remaining, can Nigel Doyle come back and defend the fight for Velocity Vixen at the front? Crucial Ball says Vibeke is tough. So is everybody else in here as we look at the 2 scenes here. You've got Jennifer Garcia now with a inertia power-up. So she's getting away from Ben. She's trying to bring back Carl, because if just Carl had a heart rate strap, like, you can win all this money if you just have a heart rate strap. 2.5 points difference with Hive on the top of the racing. Beth comes back. Can Beth be the difference maker? They need to catch Ben. Vibeke needs to cross over Ben. Beth needs to catch up as well. It's so close to the end. 3.4 kilometers. You have the purple and orange of Velocity Vixen, the black and yellow of Team Hive. Their first time out It's really, really been tough out there. So what Carl needs to do is he needs to let go of the group. He needs to give points up to his teammates here. But this is where communication is key. You see Jennifer on the right. All due respect, I thought she was going to fade a tiny bit. She's massively proven me wrong here. She is stuck with it. She has really helped out Timothy's lead in the front. And Timothy has just been riding on his own. Now Carl sitting down. Carl potentially has got two options. He can either try and slow down Jennifer, or he can try and go back and give up points. We will see what's going to happen here. DK Matsuni cheering for the Velocity Vixens. That's, of course, partially the love here for Vibeke Bertram, but you'd assume the teams would be looking to get more organized. They've got so many riders out here, and they're all in different places. We got Vibeke, we got Beth. They're about to be together out on course with Nigel just off the back. He did just hit the max heart rate he's ever hit, so we will give him a pre-pass. But Jennifer crashes! Oh, Jennifer in the corner has gone down, and then she blocks Vibeke, so some good does come out of it. But the 2 points gap might just be looking to falter now. They need every single point they can get on the course. We've got 1 lap left. And Jennifer on the inside, Beth on the outside, Nigel, Vibeke. She's got a trio of hungry foxes just riding right on the wheel here. And Jennifer, you can see the cadence. She's rocking the bike left and right. You just gotta be careful that thing doesn't come off the turbo trainer. But we watch the fight that is on for the secondary positions, because with the team league, that's what matters. You gotta carry everybody through here. So it is Beth, it's Vibeke, it's your best top 3 that count here. So you gotta look at the overall scores. Timothy is up there, but then Nigel, this is gonna get so close. Beth has let go. Beth has lost a 6-second gap here, so 1 lap remaining. She can still fight on through, but it's now up to Vibeke Bertram. As you see the little drone on the right, the satellite. I mean, at this point, you're just grasping for anything. 1 lap to go for the team. You've got to push so hard, and you can see Vibeke. She's got her mountain bike position on the bike. She got the elbow out. She's ready. She's fighting. Timothy is still leading. Carl is still second. Ben third. Jennifer fourth. And Vibeke Bertram is 1 second back. We've begun the last lap here. And I think Velocity Vixen, they may just be able to keep their head above water and stay afloat. But it comes down to Vibeke, it comes down to Jennifer and how they change positions here. As Vibeke goes way right, Jennifer gets ready for the block and she joins. Oh, this is next level. This is revenge for Mountain Bike by Jesper. But who is better at this game? Is it the Dane, Vibeke Bertram? Is it the American, Jennifer Garcia? This is gonna be tight to the line. You can see Timothy still leading. He looks fine. Ben has got to be careful. Vibeke uses inertia at 52 here. So we'll see if that is the correct move. But she gets a rest. She opts not to use it on the spiral later. But she is gaining. She is gaining on Jennifer Garcia on the left now. So we get ready. 900 meters remain here. Vibeke has left Jennifer Garcia behind, but Jennifer in the draft is now moving on up. She moves to the far right. She gets ready for an attack. How will the Dane react to this? They're also, the byproduct is that they're catching Ben Shui long. If Vibeke goes across both of them, it's not really in doubt here. As Nigel is also coming back. 600 meters. This is all coming down to the wire. Nigel Doyle, the nightmare, has entered the scene here. Carl crashes, but it doesn't really matter, as he's not going to count. But it moves Ben on up here. As Jennifer comes through, Nigel comes through. Timothy's got 500 meters left. Carl with an underdog. Nigel gets a bit of draft here. This is going to be such a technical finish. I don't know what's going to happen. Jennifer gets passed by Vibeke. Nigel does not get around though. Ben is in second, so the math has changed. With Carl crashing, the math has significantly changed. It all comes down to Vibeke versus Jennifer, and Vibeke uses underdog to get away. 3 seconds to Ben, but I think Vibeke Bertram, the beast who wants to be called the chicken. I'll let her decide. We'll go with chicken, but I'm still not sure. But today she comes home to roost. Unless she actually crashes here. But Timothy Tamont has crossed the line on the front. Jennifer, 8 seconds down. Timothy to Mud. Oh, Vibeke goes down! Oh no, what? Vibeke Bertram had to stay upright. Jennifer Garcia on the finish line has an opportunity here. If she's got anything left to give, it is panic stations for Vibeke. But Nigel crossing, I don't know, guys. That was amazing finish. Oh, Vibeke, the jeopardy. I think her heart rate just went to 3,000 BPM. I think somebody needs to get a defibrillator out here because what a finish. Now, we'll await FOG's update on the standings on how the results here. Vibeke and Nigel crossing. I think it changes it so that Velocity Vixen wins. But oh my goodness, guys, my heart rate as well was up there with Vibeke. The adrenaline was pumping. I hope you guys enjoyed that finish as much as I did. Let's watch the instant replay. Let's watch the moment that Vibeke goes down, because the jeopardy. We're not racing for any money here. We're racing for just pride. We're racing for a test. We're riding to see how this format would play out. And you can just see this. This is a close finish line. Jennifer on the right. Nigel comes on up here. It's 300 meters to go. And at this point, Jennifer looks like the fatigue is finally creeping in. She's a bit further down here. And Vibeke just doesn't brake enough. Oh, and you can see her face as she crashes. And then the sprint. She goes to what? 1100 here? You see 500, 800, 900, 1192, 1250 equalized watts. An hour into the Omnium. That is adrenaline kicking it up to 9,000. Congratulations. We're waiting, of course, the official results. But I think with how this looks out, we will see Nigel Vibeke either ahead of Kayla and Jennifer, gives it to Velocity for provisional. But if Carl had a heart rate strap, the result would look very, well, it looked the same, but it would have been a lot safer. We got Vibeke on the broadcast. Vibeke, that last 100 meters, you've got to take me through that journey, because it's like, oh, we're safe, we're going to go to Timothy, and then, oh, you're down! You've got to talk me through that one.
And typical for me, and I was yelling to everybody else, corner speed, corner speed, corner speed, and then I just went an inch above. I for sure had it. I was sure. But I don't know.
That was amazing to watch. It's usually the one yelling at everybody else making the mistake. I know that too as well. So your excuse, but that fight to the end, Vibeke, you, Nigel, Jennifer, what was that like?
Oh, it was so much fun. We thinking as a team instead of thinking on yourself. Thinking, can I help my teammates, or should I block? Should I go? What should I do? Talking to the others. It's such a different gameplay. It's so much more fun. Yeah.
Well, I can say your crash definitely, like, I hope when you sit back and rewatch the stream, you can enjoy the comedy of your facial reaction and the adrenaline. Vibeke, last question. Your nickname, the chicken. We need to know what, why, and when. What?
Like 20 years ago, I was playing handball, and I started on a new team, and we had a team event. We were supposed to tell what we wanted the team, how the team should perform for the season. I couldn't answer that, and how we should perform for ourselves. And I really was a chicken back then. And my greatest, I wanted to achieve daring, that jump shot when you just throw yourself across the line straight into the goalkeeper and scoring that goal. And, well, I started saying, I'm a bit of a chicken, and I wanted to learn that, and since that I was called Chicken.
That, for everybody out there who doesn't know what handball is, go look it up. The European finals just ended, but that's an amazing story. Thanks, Vibeke. Good racing today. Let's go and hear from the opposing team. Timothy, that racing today as a team, your effort at the end there, shout out to you as well, but how did you like your team's spirit to come back? And for the majority of the race, you were virtual leaders.
Well, I'm not too sure what the official results are, but with some quick maths, if Carl's result doesn't count, I think we won, but I really don't see it as a win because Carl's obviously legit, and I still feel like Vixen won it, but if his results won't count for the World Cup, let's say, I think we took it. But yeah, saying that.
Now, at the end, it looked like Ben, Jennifer, they really fought everything. Kayla, too. Looking
Yeah.
towards your teammates. What do you take away from today?
We obviously individually all have it. We all have what it takes, but it's just some practice. We just need to practice some more, and this was a great event to set up for us to get some practice in. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the opportunity we got here to test this.
Well, Timothy, good job to you and the rest of the team for getting back on. Let's get some words as well for a few of the other riders. Team leader is Beth York of Velocity Vixen. We heard the story of handball, which is the first time I think handball has been brought up on the stream, but now that's done, I'm probably going to bring it up more. Beth, team leader, how did you think Velocity Vixen played it out today? Oh, I think your microphone might be a bit too down on the volume.
Oh, is that better?
There we go.
Is that better? Yay! I got to turn off my mic so I don't bother. Here we go. All right, a couple of audio things going on. Yeah, no, I thought it was really fun. We were just in the team chat going, oh my gosh, that was so much fun to get to race that way with a real focused, dedicated effort on getting placement on the team. You know, some mistakes, yeah, it's mentally challenging in a totally different way, talking strategy, but really probably one of the most fun times racing out here, you know, with the teammates and playing the team dynamics for real, not just, you know, doing one-off here and there. It's fun. It was really a good time.
Now, that last race, Beth, I saw you come back as well, and then you dropped off and you came back. Talk me through that journey, because that looked like you went through quite a lot in not very much time.
Well, yeah, so I was like, okay, don't use your underdog here. And then I was like, well, I'm going to use it at some point, because right now I don't think I can be any more of the underdog. I'm like, you know, so yeah, I thought I was going to have it in me to drill like at 3 kilometers or something, and I just ran out of it. Jennifer crashed, and I thought that was going to give me an opportunity because I had closed with her right before the loop-de-loop, and then I had slowed down, and then she had a power up and was able, she just had an extra move, and I couldn't cover on that last little upturn, so I had to use my power ups to get back, and then she could recover from the crash, so I just couldn't hang on when she had that power up. So she just had more cards in her pocket than I did. So, but great racing by everybody. It was really fun to see how the tactics unfolded.
Let's go and hear from Jennifer, because at one point, Jennifer, I think I said, it looks like you might be fading, but you proved me wrong. Looked like you were just fighting on through to the end, but then, I mean, you were what, 10 seconds away, 20 seconds away from securing the victory?
Yeah, that was crazy fun. That last race there was a lot of good competition, really good practice. So I'm glad we could come back from, you know, some of the shortcomings in the other races, have that last race. Yeah, it was tough. Again, the crashes always get me either super amped or super down. And this one I was able to come back from, which was really awesome, but I just wasn't able to do the sprint. I'm not known for being good at the sprints in the end, to be honest, so.
Well, next time you can get it, but looking at the team perspective, considering you guys had a poor start in the beginning, it's quite impeccable that you guys were able to come back in the fourth one and be within a shot. What will you be looking to fix if this is the format going forward?
Yeah, I think Timothy was right to say it's really just the team dynamics, because I think we're all trying to kind of like prove ourselves, but we also forget that we got to do it together as a team and really get like coalesced. So I think it's just going to be trying to get the pack together more, which is something I need to work on instead of just, as you saw me in Cityscape, go off there. So definitely just working on being more cohesive.
That all comes with time. Thank you, Jennifer, and it was good to see the racing on display today. Let's get a final few words if Nigel is still here. I think he is. So, Nigel, the racing towards the end, you, I think, secured it for your team. It was you, it was Vibeke up against Jennifer. That experience of having a team to ride for, having, you know, somebody else that you're responsible for, what's that like?
Oh, it was great. I don't know. It seemed to make me ride harder. You know, you didn't want to let your team down, and they're, you know, yelling in your ear, go, 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 go. So I think I was on 202 heart rate and mountain bike course. That last race, I dropped my chain at the start. The chain came off, it got stuck. I had to hop off my bike and put it back on. That's why I dropped away at the start. So I got back to 4th, so not too bad.
Well, you came back at the end there, Nigel. I'm just impressed to see you go to 202 because you've raced so much on the platform. I didn't know you could go harder. Nigel, I'll let you rest up. I look forward to seeing more of you on Thursday as we race again for KNL, guys. As always, if you want to give feedback, because we had a test today, we had a test in K, a test in L. What did you like the most? What did you think of it? Entertainment-wise, stream-wise, racing-wise, improvements, all this feedback. The CVRcade World Cup Season 2, as Mutt KG said, mark your calendars. It starts February 15th. Yes, the day after Valentine's Day, but it's nothing good to do on Valentine's Day other than CVRcading, right, guys? So make sure to mark your calendars. There's 8 teams available to get in. I think 6 or 7 teams have currently registered their interest, so there may just be 1 or 2 spots left. So if you're not currently on a team, if you don't currently have registered your interest, make sure to do so to get in for the CVRcade World Cup Season 2. I think it was awesome today to see the head-to-head. I think seeing the 2 teams, seeing Nigel Doyle hit 202 when he's got so many hours in, and then he does the dance. Good racing on display today. Vibeke crashing at the end. Ben Shuilong, I mean, crash after crash after crash. I know he'll be kicking himself for that one, but at the end of the day, it was just a test event, and you can pick yourself back up. But Velocity Vixen, I'm severely impressed with how well oiled and how they looked like they had the team philosophy down, which should be to no surprise. Velocity Vixen have shown it time and time again in the run-up racing, in the CVRcade World Cup Season 1 racing, that as a collective, they can ride together and they can fight it out. And when it's them on the line, when it's your rider next to you and the rider behind you that matters, that's when you can dig that extra bit deeper. And we saw that today, especially here with Vibeke Bertram realizing that the victory could be slipping out through your fingers. And so she gave everything at 1250 equalized watts as Vibeke Bertram finishes off the day here. We've had Zones K and Zone L. And I see throughout the stream we've gained a few more followers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you want to get more information on this, head to CVRcade.com, download the game, get in the game, and ride with us. We saw Tom T get into the action today. Someone new in the racing with us. Makes me excited. I can't wait. We saw Phil Lovett as well. CVRcade World Cup Season 2 is right around the corner. Now is the time. Come make history with us. Physical equalization, physical esports, now is the time, and now is the time for us to say, see you later. But no, Beth, York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marvels. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.